Chapter 1. The slap that shattered everything. The crack of his palm against my cheek echoed through the restaurant like a gunshot. I'd never been hit before. Not once in my 23 years. The shock of it registered before the pain, a white-hot bloom spreading across my face, my head snapping to the side. The dinner crowd went silent. Forks suspended mid-air. Conversations died on tongues. You think I'm stupid? His voice was ice over gravel, each word precisely placed. You think I wouldn't notice? I couldn't speak. My throat had closed around the words, around the humiliation, burning hotter than the handprint he'd branded on my skin. The tray I'd been holding clattered to the marble floor, crystal glasses shattering into diamond fragments around my feet. Mr. Vitali. I don't. My voice came out broken, small. Don't lie to me. He stepped closer, and I finally looked at him. Really looked at him. Dante Vitali. Everyone in the city knew that name, whispered it like a prayer or a curse, depending on which side of his favor you stood. 6'3" of tailored menace, dark eyes that could strip skin from bone, jaw carved from the same marble that lined his restaurant. He owned half the waterfront, including Carmela's, the upscale Italian place where I'd worked for exactly 47 days. 47 days until tonight, my mother's ring. His hand shot out, gripping my wrist with fingers that felt like iron bands. Where is it? I didn't. The words tangled on my tongue. His grip tightened, not enough to bruise, but enough to remind me he could. That he chose restraint. I don't know what you're talking about. Empty your pockets. The dining room was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat, a frantic drum against my ribs. My hands shook as I reached into the pockets of my server's apron. Receipts, pen, a folded list of tonight's specials. Nothing. His eyes narrowed, black and bottomless as a well. The other one. I didn't have another pocket. But his security guard, a mountain of a man with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, moved forward and patted down my uniform with clinical efficiency. His hand stopped at my right hip, dove into the small pocket I'd sewn there myself to hold my phone. He pulled out a ring, gold band, enormous ruby, ornate, old. My stomach dropped through the floor. I've never seen that before in my life. The words came out desperate, high-pitched. I hated how I sounded. Guilty. I swear to God, I didn't. Shut up. Dante took the ring from his guard, held it up to the light. Something flickered across his face, grief, rage, something raw and wounded before his expression shuddered again. My mother wore this every day until she died. It was in my office safe this morning. Then someone else, no one else had access. His gaze pinned me like an insect under glass. Just you. You delivered my lunch to my office. You were alone in there for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Long enough to steal. Long enough to ruin my life. Mr. Vitali, please. I was begging now, and I didn't care. I would never. My father, his name stuck in my throat. If he knew I was accused of stealing, it would kill him. Something changed in Dandy's face. A muscle ticked in his jaw. Your father? He's sick. Heart condition. I worked 2 jobs to pay his medical bills. I would never risk. Who is your father? The question threw me. Wrong-footed me. Why does that matter? Answer me. Command. Absolute authority. The voice of a man who ruled an empire I was only beginning to understand. Antonio Moretti. The name tasted like metal on my tongue. Like blood. The color drained from Dante Vitali's face. For 3 heartbeats, no one moved. No one breathed. His security guard took a step back. A woman at table 7 gasped, actually gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, and Dante stood frozen, the ring clutched in his fist, staring at me like I'd risen from the grave. Cristo, he whispered. Then louder, to his guard. Get her out of here. Back office. Now. What? No. Strong hands gripped my upper arms, lifting me off my feet. I kicked out, my shoe connecting with someone's shin. Let me go. I didn't steal anything. But they were already hauling me backward, away from the dining room, full of wide eyes and raised phones. Away from the scattered glass and the overturned tray. Away from the man who'd struck me and then looked at me like I was a ghost. The last thing I saw before they shoved me through the kitchen doors was Dante Vitali, still standing in the center of the dining room, the ruby ring catching the light like a drop of blood in his palm, and his eyes, those merciless, calculating eyes fixed on me with an intensity that felt like drowning. Chapter 2. The name that changed everything. They locked me in his office. The irony wasn't lost on me. The scene of the crime I didn't commit. I paced the length of the room, my cheeks still throbbing, my mind racing faster than my feet. Mahogany desk. Leather chairs. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor, where boats bobbed like toys in the darkness. This was where I'd delivered his lunch. Fettuccine carbonara, no pepper, side of arugula salad. I'd set the tray on his desk, noticed the family photos on the credenza, a beautiful woman with dark hair and kind eyes, a boy of maybe 7 or 8. I'd wondered if that was his mother, his younger self. I'd been in and out in under 2 minutes. I hadn't touched anything. Hadn't even looked at the safe hidden behind the abstract painting on the east wall. How did someone plant that ring on me? The door opened. I spun around, my hands already raised in defense. Stupid, useless, but it wasn't Dante who entered. It was an older man. 70, maybe 75. Salt and pepper hair slicked back, expensive suit. Eyes the same depthless black as Danny's, but where Danny's face was all sharp angles and controlled violence, this man's was weathered, heavy with the weight of too many years, too many sins. Julia Moretti, he said. My name a statement rather than a question. I straightened my spine. Who are you? Marco Vitali. Dandy's father. He moved slowly, arthritically, lowering himself into one of the leather chairs. Sit. I'd rather stand. A ghost of a smile. You have your father's stubbornness. My heart lurched. You know my father? Know him? Marco's laugh was brittle, sharp-edged. Antonio Moretti saved my life 30 years ago. Took a bullet meant for me during the Rossini War. He touched his left shoulder absently, as if feeling a phantom wound. The doctors said he'd never work again. His heart. The damage was extensive. The room tilted sideways. I gripped the edge of the desk. You're lying. Why would I lie? My father worked in construction. He was a foreman. But the words dried up because I was remembering. The way Papa never talked about his youth. The scars on his chest, he said, came from an accident. The way certain names, certain neighborhoods made him go quiet and pale. The way we'd moved to the north side when I was 7 and never went back. Your father left our world, Marco continued. His voice, gentle in a way that felt worse than Danny's rage. He wanted better for you. Your mother insisted on it, and Antonio loved her enough to walk away. We respected that. Let him disappear into a normal life. Then why? My voice cracked. Why am I here? Why did your son? I couldn't finish. My face still burned. Dante didn't know. Marco's expression darkened. No one knew Antonio Moretti had a daughter working in our restaurant. You use your mother's maiden name, Julia Rossi, on your employment papers to protect him. The admission felt like betrayal. Papa made me promise. He said there were people who might. I stopped. Understanding crashed over me like cold water. He was afraid of you. Not me. Never me. Marco's eyes were sad, ancient. But this life makes enemies. Many enemies. If they knew Antonio had family. The door slammed open. Dante strode in, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. His jacket was gone, shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, and I could see the tension coiled in every line of his body. A predator barely leashed. His gaze cut to his father. Out, Dante now. Marco rose slowly, paused beside me. Your father is a good man, Julia. One of the best I've known. Then he was gone, the door clicking shut with terrible finality, leaving me alone with the man who'd struck me, who'd called me a thief, who was now looking at me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. I didn't know, he said quietly, slowly, each word costing him something. About your father. About who you were. Does it matter? My voice came out sharper than I intended, braver than I felt. You already decided I was guilty. He moved to the window, his back to me. The harbor lights painted his profile in gold and shadow. Someone stole from me. Evidence pointed to you. Someone framed me. Yes, he turned, and the look in his eyes, calculation, fury, something darker made my breath catch. The question is, why? Who would know about your father? Who would use you to get to me? I don't know your enemies, Mr. Vitali. I just serve pasta. Don't. The word cracked like a whip. Don't play naive. Not now. You're Antonio Moretti's daughter. You understand what that means. I did. God help me. I was starting to. You're in danger, he continued, moving closer. Not threatening. Worse. Protective. Someone put you in my crosshairs deliberately. They wanted me to hurt you, to drive a wedge between me and your father's legacy, which means they know about the debt I owe him. You don't owe me anything. I owe him everything. Dante stopped 3 feet away. Close enough that I could smell his cologne cedar and something darker, more dangerous. Which means I owe you protection. Whether you want it or not. I don't. This isn't a discussion. His eyes held mine, and I saw the truth there. The immovable will. The absolute authority. Until I find out who's behind this, you're not going anywhere. You'll stay here. Under my watch. Under my guard. You're kidnapping me. I'm saving your life. The worst part was, I believed him. Chapter 3. The weight of a Nameh. Gave me his mother's room. The irony felt deliberate, cruel. The bedroom was on the 3rd floor of the estate because of course Dante Vitale didn't live in some penthouse condo like a normal millionaire. He lived in a sprawling villa on the cliffs overlooking the sea, all stone and iron and secrets. I stood at the window, watching dawn bleed pink across the water. I hadn't slept, couldn't sleep. My phone was gone, security risk. The mountain of a guard had said when he'd confiscated it. My apartment was miles away. My father was probably frantic, though Dante had promised someone would check on him, explain I was safe. Safe. What a strange word for captivity. A knock on the door. I didn't answer, but it opened anyway. A woman entered 60-something, steel gray hair in a tight bun, eyes that assessed me with clinical efficiency. Breakfast is in 20 minutes, she said in accented English. Italian underneath. Signor Vitale expects you downstairs. Tell Signor Vitale he can expect whatever he wants. I'm not hungry. Her expression didn't change. You will eat, you will be polite, or you will make things very difficult for yourself. She set a dress on the bed. Black, simple, expensive. Your uniform is being cleaned. Wear this. Then she was gone, the door locking behind her with a soft click that sounded like a cell door closing. I wore the dress, not because I was obedient, but because mine smelled like kitchen grease and fear sweat. The fabric was silk, whisper soft against my skin. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. Dante Vitale didn't make mistakes, except he had. Last night, when he'd struck me, I touched my cheek. The swelling had gone down, but the bruise remained a purple shadow along my jaw. Evidence. Proof that even men with codes and honor could be monsters when they wanted to be. The dining room was obscene. 30-foot ceilings, crystal chandelier, a table that could seat 20, but held only 2 place settings at one end. Dante sat at the head, reading something on his phone, coffee steaming beside his plate. He looked up when I entered. His gaze went immediately to my cheek, and something tightened in his expression. Regret? Anger at himself? I couldn't tell. Didn't want to care. Sit. Not a request. Never a request with him. I sat in the chair to his right, close enough to be uncomfortable. The table was laden with food pastries, fruit, eggs, bread still warm from the oven. Enough for 10 people. Eat, he said. I'm not hungry. You haven't eaten since yesterday afternoon. He set his phone down. Eat, or I'll have Rosa force feed you. And she's not gentle. I took a pastry, bit into it just to prove I could. It was delicious, flaky, sweet, filled with cream, and I hated that I could taste it through the anger. Your father knows you're safe, Dante said after a moment. I had my doctor visit him this morning. He's stable. Relieved? Did you tell him who took me? He knows. And Dante's jaw tightened. He asked me not to hurt you. The pastry turned to ash in my mouth. What did you say? That I'd already failed at that. Silence. Heavy and sharp-edged. I set the pastry down, my appetite gone. So what now? You keep me here until you find whoever framed me? A week? A month? As long as it takes. I have a life, a job, bills to pay. Your bills are paid. Your rent, your father's medical expenses. All of it. I stood so fast my chair screeched against marble. You can't just. I already did. He stood too, towering over me, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. This is what protection looks like, Julia. It's not comfortable. It's not polite, but it keeps you alive. I don't want your protection. I don't want anything from you. Too bad. His voice dropped, went soft. Dangerous. You don't get to choose. Not when your existence puts a target on both our backs. Then let me go. Let me disappear. You think it's that simple? He moved closer, and I took a step back. My spine hit the window. Trapped. Someone knew who you were. Knew about your father. Knew exactly how to use you against me. You don't just walk away from that. So I'm bait. Your leverage. He placed one hand on the window beside my head. Not touching me. Not threatening. But the space between us felt charged, electric. And I don't leave my pieces undefended. I could smell him again. cedar and smoke, and something that made my pulse quicken despite myself. Despite everything, you hit me, I whispered. Needed him to remember. Needed the anger to keep me safe from whatever this was building between us. His expression went dark. Yes, you called me a thief. Yes, you humiliated me in front of everyone. Yes. He leaned closer, and I could see gold flecks in his black eyes, could see the tension in his throat when he swallowed. And I will carry that mistake for the rest of my life. But I won't apologize for protecting you now. Even from yourself, I don't need you to. His free hand came up, stopped an inch from my bruised cheek. Not touching, hovering. You just don't know it yet. Then he stepped back, and the air rushed into my lungs like I'd been drowning. There's a library on the second floor, he said, his voice back to business cold. A gym in the East Wing. Anywhere you want to go in the house, you can. But you don't leave the grounds. And you don't go anywhere without Marco or Rosa knowing. So still a prisoner, still alive. He picked up his phone, his coffee. That's all that matters. He walked away, and I stood there shaking. From anger, from fear, from something else I refused to name. Chapter 4. Ghosts in the Gardini found the chapel by accident. 3 days of wandering the estate like a ghost. And I'd discovered the library to many books on war and strategy. The gym to many weapons hidden in locked cabinets. The kitchen where Rosa watched me like I might steal the silver. But the chapel was different. Small, stone, hidden behind an overgrown garden, where roses grew wild and thorns caught at my dress. The door stood open, afternoon light slanting through stained glass, painting the floor in colors that didn't belong in Dante Vitale's world. I stepped inside. It smelled like incense and old prayers, like someone still came here seeking forgiveness for sins that couldn't be washed clean. Photographs lined the walls. A shrine. I moved closer, studying the faces. Danny's mother, the woman from his office photo, smiling in a white dress. Younger, radiant. Other photos showed her with a man who must have been Marco. Decades younger, looking at her like she was his whole world. She died when I was 12. I spun around. Dante stood in the doorway, backlit by garden light, his expression unreadable. I'm sorry, I said automatically. I didn't mean to intrude. You weren't. He moved into the chapel, stopped beside me, stared at his mother's face. Cancer. She fought for 2 years. The ring you were accused of stealing, she wore it every day, even when she was too weak to stand. Said it reminded her why she kept fighting. I didn't know what to say. Apologies felt hollow. Silence felt wrong. She would have liked you, he continued quietly. She always said the strongest people were the ones who kept going even when the world tried to break them. Is that supposed to make me feel better about being your prisoner? A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. No, just a fact. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a phone. My phone. I had my tech guy sweep it. No trackers, no bugs. You can call your father. I took it, my hands trembling. Why now? Because I'm not a monster, Julia. His eyes met mine. No matter what you think of me. I wanted to argue, to throw his words back at him. But my father's number was already dialing. And then Papa's voice came through, thin, worried, but alive. Julia? Tesoro? Papa. My voice broke. I'm okay. I promise. I'm okay. Dante stepped out of the chapel, gave me privacy. I sank onto the stone bench, Papa's voice in my ear, tears streaming down my face as I told him edited truths. That I was safe. That Dante Vitale was protecting me, not hurting me. That he shouldn't worry. Lies and truth tangled together like the roses outside. When I finally emerged from the chapel 20 minutes later, Dante was waiting in the garden. He'd shed his jacket, rolled his sleeves, and was cutting back the thorns with a pair of shears, methodical, precise cuts that spoke of practice. My mother planted these, he said without looking up. Said every beautiful thing has thorns. That you don't get to have one without the other. I watched him work. The way his shoulders moved under white cotton. The concentration on his face. He looked almost peaceful, almost human. I talked to your father, he continued, snipping another branch. Before I had you brought here. Asked his permission. And he gave it? He asked me to keep you safe. Said you were stubborn, reckless, too proud for your own good. Now he looked up, and something in his expression made my breath catch. Said you get that from him. I'm not reckless. You sewed a secret pocket into your uniform to hide your phone. In a restaurant owned by the Mafia. He raised an eyebrow. That's not reckless? That's practical. That's how the ring ended up in your pocket without you noticing. He set the shears down. Someone knew about that pocket. Watched you long enough to know your habits. Cold crept down my spine. You're saying someone at the restaurant, someone close. Someone with access. Someone who knew exactly what buttons to push to make me react. His voice went hard. I've had my people investigating. 3 of my waitstaff have connections to the Rossini family. The same family from the war. The one where my father, yes. Dante moved closer. The Rossinis never forgot the debt they owed after we crushed them. Your father taking that bullet, it cost them everything. And now, 30 years later, they're taking their revenge by framing me, by using you to destroy the peace between our families. If I'd hurt you worse, his hands curled into fists. If I'd done what they expected, killed you for stealing from me, your father would have come for me. And the cycle would start again. The magnitude of it hit me like a wave. I wasn't just collateral damage. I was the spark meant to ignite a war. So what happens now? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Now I find out who planted that ring. He reached out, and this time his fingers did touch my cheek so gentle I barely felt it, tracing the fading bruise. And I make sure they understand what happens when someone uses an innocent woman as a weapon. I'm not innocent. I'm just your good. His thumb brushed my jaw. In a world that doesn't deserve good things, and that makes you dangerous in ways you don't understand, I should have stepped back, should have pushed his hand away. But I stood frozen, feeling the warmth of his palm, seeing something in his eyes that looked almost like wonder. Dante, I whispered, don't. His hand dropped. Don't say my name like that. Like what? Like you might forgive me. Then he walked away, leaving me in the garden with thorns and roses, and the terrible understanding that I was starting to. Chapter 5. Breaking bread. Breaking Walshy taught me to make his mother's pasta on the 7th night. I'd been avoiding him easy enough in a house with 30 rooms. But Rosa cornered me after dinner, handed me an apron, and said, Senior Dante is in the kitchen. He asked for you. Not a request. Never a request in this house. I found him at the marble counter, flour dusting his forearms, sleeves rolled to his elbows. Domestic. Wrong. Like seeing a wolf in a kitchen garden. You don't have to do this, I said from the doorway. Do what? Pretend we're, I don't know, friends? Allies? I cross my arms. You're holding me captive. Let's not dress it up with cooking lessons. He looked up, and something flickered across his face. My mother taught me to make this sauce when I was 8. Said if I was going to grow up in blood and violence, I should at least know how to create something beautiful. The words hung between us, vulnerable in a way I hadn't expected from him. She was wrong, he continued, returning his attention to the dough he was kneading. I never made anything beautiful, just more violence. But the recipe's good. Thought you might want to learn it. I should have left. Should have gone back to my room, my books, my careful distance. But my feet carried me to the counter, and my hands reached for the apron hanging on the hook. What do I do? His mouth curved, almost a smile. Wash your hands, then come here. For the next hour, he taught me how to knead the dough until it was silk smooth, how to roll it thin enough to see your hand through, how to cut it into perfect ribbons that would hold the sauce just right. His hands guided mine, corrected my grip, showed me the rhythm. There, he said quietly, standing behind me, his chest a breath away from my back. Feel how it responds? You're not forcing it, you're working with it. I could feel his heat, could smell cedar and flour and something that made my head spin. Is there a metaphor here? Maybe. His voice dropped lower, intimate. Or maybe I just like teaching you something that won't get you killed. I turned my head, and suddenly we were too close. His jaw was rough with evening stubble. His eyes were softer than I'd ever seen them, less obsidian, more smoke. Why are you doing this? I whispered. Because you've been here a week and you look at me like I'm the enemy. You are the enemy. No, his hand came up, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. The enemy is out there. In here, we're just 2 people trying not to drown. The pasta water boiled over. We both jumped back, and the moment shattered. He moved to the stove, killed the flame, cursed under his breath in Italian. I laughed. Couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all, the mafia boss, the stolen ring, the cooking lesson gone wrong. He looked at me like I'd performed a miracle. What? You? This? I gestured helplessly. You're teaching me pasta while someone wants me dead. It's insane. Welcome to my world. But he was almost smiling too. Come on, let's salvage this. We ate at the kitchen island like normal people. No 30-foot table. No Rosa hovering. Just us and the pasta we'd made together, imperfect but good. Tangled and messy and somehow right. Tell me about your father, Dante said after a while. The version I don't know. The man who raised you. I hesitated. Then, he taught me to fix cars. Said everyone should know how to take care of themselves. We'd spend Sundays in the garage, and he'd show me how engines worked, how to change oil, how to diagnose problems by sound. Did he ever talk about before? Before you? I met his eyes. Never. He locked that part of himself away. Became someone new. Did it work? For a while. I pushed pasta around my plate. But you can't outrun the past. It always catches up. No. Dante agreed quietly. It doesn't. Silence settled. But it wasn't uncomfortable. Just heavy. Weighted with all the things we weren't saying. I'm sorry, he said finally. For hitting you. For not listening. For don't. I set my fork down. Don't apologize unless you mean it. Unless you do something different. I would. His eyes held mine, fierce and honest. If I could go back to that moment, knowing what I know now, I would have listened. Would have seen you, instead of just the crime. But you can't go back. No? So I'm here instead, trying to keep you alive. Trying to. He stopped. Started again. Trying to be better than the man who raised me to see enemies first and people second. My chest ached with something dangerous. Something that felt like understanding. Your mother would be proud, I said softly. Of the pasta anyway. He laughed a real laugh, rough and surprised. She'd say it's overcooked. That I rushed the sauce. It's perfect. You're being kind. I'm being honest. I stood. Started gathering plates. There's a difference. He caught my wrist. Gentle. Always so careful with me now. Julia. I looked at him. At this man who'd shattered my world and was now trying to piece it back together in a completely different shape. Thank you, he said, for giving me this. For not hating me. I should hate you. But you don't. No, the word escaped before I could stop it. I don't. His thumb traced circles on my pulse point, and I wondered if he could feel how fast my heart was beating. If he knew what he was doing to me. That's going to be a problem. He murmured. I know. Neither of us let go. Chapter 6. The kiss that shouldn't have been. The tat came at midnight on the 9th day. I woke to gunfire. Not the distant pop of firecrackers or the backfire of a car, but the unmistakable crack of weapons being discharged with intent. Shattering glass. Shouting in Italian. More gunfire. I rolled out of bed, my heart hammering against my ribs. The door burst open, and I screamed, but it was Marco, not an enemy. His face grim and urgent. Basement. Now. He grabbed my arm, pulled me into the hallway. What's happening? Rossini's. They breached the west gate. Another burst of gunfire. Closer now. Move. We ran. Rosa appeared from a side corridor, armed with a shotgun that looked wrong in her grandmother hands. She nodded at Marco, took up position at the stairs, covering our retreat. The basement was cold, concrete, lined with wine racks that hid a reinforced door. Marco punched in a code, shoved me inside. Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone but me or Dante. Understand? Where is Dante? Fighting. Marco's expression was steel, protecting what's his. The door slammed shut, and I was alone in darkness that smelled like earth and fear. I don't know how long I waited. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. Time moved strangely in the dark, measured only by my heartbeat and the muffled sounds of violence overhead. Then the door opened. Dante stumbled through. Blood on his shirt, not his, I realized with dizzying relief. Though a cut above his eyebrow was bleeding freely. He locked the door behind him, leaned against it, breathing hard. Are you hurt? I was across the space before I could think, my hands on his chest, checking for wounds. No, he caught my hands. No, I'm fine. It's not my blood. Whose two of theirs? One of mine. His voice was flat, dead. The voice of a man who'd done terrible things and would do them again. It's handled. They won't be coming back. He pushed off the door, moved to a cabinet in the corner, pulled out a first aid kit. We need to wait here until Marco gives the all clear. Could be 20 minutes. Could be 2 hours. I took the kit from him, guided him to sit on a crate. Let me see. Julia, let me see. He sat. I stood between his knees, tilting his face toward the dim light. The cut was shallow but messy, still bleeding. I pressed gauze against it, and he hissed. Sorry, I've had worse. I don't doubt it. I cleaned the wound, working with hands steadier than they should have been. Is this what your life is always like? Sometimes, his eyes were on my face, not the cut. Sometimes worse, and you want to pull me into this. No, his hands came up, gripped my waist. I want to keep you safe from this. There's a difference. Is there? I applied butterfly bandages with more force than necessary. Feels the same from where I'm standing. You're angry. I'm terrified. The words burst out, too loud in the enclosed space. People are dying upstairs because of me. Because my father saved your father 30 years ago. Because I was born into the wrong family with the wrong name. No, he stood abruptly. And suddenly I was the one backed against the wall, his body caging mine. You're alive because of you. Because you're strong and smart and you haven't broken yet. Don't diminish that. Dante, they came for you tonight, he said, his voice rough. To take you, use you, hurt you in ways that would destroy me. And I killed them for even thinking it. I could feel every inch of him pressed against me. Could see the violence still simmering in his eyes, the barely controlled rage. You can't keep doing this, I whispered. You can't keep killing for me. Watch me. Then his mouth was on mine, and the world caught fire. It wasn't gentle, wasn't soft. It was desperate and fierce and tasted like blood and gunpowder and everything we'd been denying for 9 days. His hands cupped my face, tilted my head back, and I opened for him like I'd been waiting for this. Like I'd known it was inevitable. My hands fisted in his blood-stained shirt, pulled him closer, demanding more. He groaned against my mouth, his body pressing me harder into the wall. One hand slid into my hair, the other gripped my hip, and I felt the tremor in his fingers. The restraint barely holding. Tell me to stop, he breathed against my lips. Tell me this is wrong. It is wrong. Then stop me. I couldn't. God help me. I couldn't. I kissed him back instead, poured all my fear and anger and impossible, terrible wanting into it. Let him taste every conflicted emotion churning inside me. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. This is a mistake, he said. I know, you should hate me. I know that too. But you don't. No, I touched his face, my thumb tracing his jaw. I really don't. His eyes closed. Cristo, Julia, what are you doing to me? The same thing you're doing to me. I pulled back enough to meet his gaze. Breaking me, remaking me, turning me into something I don't recognize. I never meant, I know. And I did. I could see it written across his face, the regret, the want, the war between duty and desire. But that doesn't change what's happening. Above us, footsteps. 3 knocks, a pause. 2 more. That's Marco. Dante stepped back, putting distance between us. That felt like an ocean. We can go up. But neither of us moved. Just stood there in the basement, blood and wine and kissing still electric in the air between us. This can't happen again, he said finally. No, I mean it. So do I. We both knew we were lying. Chapter 7. The betrayal behind the Mascrosa was the one who told me the truth. 2 days after the attack. 2 days of Dante avoiding me, of heated glances across rooms, of every accidental touch feeling like lightning. I was in the kitchen helping her prepare lunch when she stopped chopping vegetables and looked at me with those ancient, knowing eyes. You love him, she said. Not a question. I nearly dropped the bowl I was holding. What? No, I barely know him. You know him. She returned to her chopping. Better than most. You've seen him bleed, seen him kill, seen him try to be gentle. That's more than most people learn in a lifetime. It doesn't matter what I feel. This is temporary. Once he finds out who he already knows, everything stopped. What? Rosa set down her knife. He's known for 3 days. Since the attack. One of the men they captured talked before he died. My mouth went dry. Then why am I still here? Because the truth is worse than the frame-up. She wiped her hands on her apron. The person who planted that ring, who set you up? It wasn't a Rossini. Then who? His cousin, Leonardo Vitali. The name meant nothing to me. Rosa read my confusion and continued. Leonardo is Marco's nephew. He's been challenging Dante for control of the family for years. Subtle, strategic, waiting for the right moment to strike. Her face hardened. Framing you was supposed to start a war. When that didn't work, he hired the Rossinis to attack, to take you, to use you as leverage. Horror crawled up my throat. Dante knows this? He knows. He's been planning, waiting for the right moment to move against Leonardo without destabilizing the entire organization, while keeping me in the dark. anger surged through me. While lying to me, while protecting you from information that could get you killed, Rose's voice went sharp. You think Leonardo doesn't have spies? If you knew, if you acted differently, if you gave any sign, I deserve to know. You deserve to live. She gripped my shoulders. Dante is trying to give you both knowledge and safety, but the timing has to be perfect. I pulled away from her, my mind racing. Where is he? Julia, where is he, Rosa? She sighed. His office. But I was already gone, running through corridors I'd memorized, fury propelling me forward. How dare he? How dare he kiss me, touch me, make me feel things while keeping this from me? I didn't knock. Just burst through his office door. Dante was behind his desk, on the phone, his expression darkening when he saw me. I'll call you back. He ended the call. Julia, you knew. My voice shook. You've known who was behind this for 3 days, and you didn't tell me. His jaw tightened. Who told you? Does it matter? You lied to me. I protected you. He stood. There's a difference. No, there isn't. I slammed my hands on his desk. You don't get to kiss me, make me trust you, and then lie to my face about something that directly affects my life. It was for your own, don't say, safety. I was shaking now, rage and hurt tangling together. Don't you dare tell me this was for my safety. You kept me ignorant while you planned. God knows. What? Against your own family. Leonardo isn't family. The words came out cold, lethal. He stopped being family the moment he put a target on your back. And what happens now? You kill him? Start a war? If necessary. How is that protecting me? My voice cracked. How does more violence keep me safe? Because while he's alive, you're not. Dante moved around the desk, his control fracturing. Every day he breathes is a day someone could come for you, could hurt you, could take you from. He stopped, looked away, could finish what they started. From you, I said quietly. You were going to say from me. He didn't deny it. Couldn't. The truth was written all over his face. Dante. I moved closer. You can't protect me from the world. You can't kill everyone who might hurt me. Watch me try. That's not. I touched his face, forced him to look at me. That's not love. That's possession. Then what do you call this? His hand covered mine, pressed it harder against his cheek. What do you call the way I think about you every moment? The way I can't breathe when you're in danger? The way I want to burn down the world to keep you safe? I call it obsession, control. The same thing that made you hit me that first night. He flinched like I'd struck him. Good. He needed to hear it. You want to own my safety, I continued. Own my choices. Own me. But that's not protection, Dante. That's a cage with prettier bars. So what do you want? His voice was ragged. You want me to do nothing? Let Leonardo keep plotting? Let the Rossinis keep coming? I want you to trust me with the truth. All of it. Even the ugly parts. Even the dangerous parts. I stepped closer until we were breathing the same air. You said I was Antonio Moretti's daughter. That I understand this world. So stop treating me like glass and start treating me like an equal. Silence. His eyes searched mine, and I could see the war inside him, the need to protect versus the need to trust. Finally, Leonardo is planning a coup. He's gathering support from the old families, promising them more territory, more power. He's meeting with them tomorrow night at the dockyards, and you're going to stop him. Yes, I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Not to fight. To watch. To understand. I held his gaze. You want me in your life? Then let me see all of it. If something happens to you, then it happens. But at least I'll have chosen it. I touched his chest, felt his heart hammering. Let me choose, Dante. Let me choose you with my eyes open. His hand covered mine. This is a mistake. Probably. You could get hurt. I'm already hurt. At least this way I know why. He kissed me then. Soft, desperate, like goodbye and hello tangled together. Tomorrow night, he whispered against my lips. But you stay in the car. You stay safe. Deal. We were both lying again. Chapter 8. Blood on the dockyard smelled like salt and diesel and old violence. I sat in the back of Danny's car, Marco beside me, watching through tinted windows as figures moved in the shadows. The warehouse across from us glowed with dim industrial lights, silhouettes visible through grimy windows. Leonardo's inside, Marco said quietly, along with representatives from 4 other families. If Dante can't convince them to stand down, he'll have to fight all of them. I finished. He'll die. Marco's voice was flat, factual. Even Dante can't survive 5 families united against him. My stomach twisted. Then why are we here? Why is he doing this? Because he's his mother's son. Marco's eyes were distant, sad. She taught him that some things are worth dying for. Apparently you're one of them. I couldn't breathe. He's doing this for me? He's doing this because Leonardo made you a weapon. And Dante doesn't forgive people who weaponize innocence. Marco looked at me. But yes, for you. Through the window, I watched Dante approach the warehouse, alone, unarmed, except for the gun I knew was holstered at his back. 6 of his men fanned out in the shadows' protection, but not enough if things went bad. He disappeared inside. What happens now? I whispered. Now we wait. 15 minutes crawled by. 20. I counted my heartbeats. Counted the shadows moving past the windows. Counted all the ways this could go wrong. Then gunfire. Not a few shots. A barrage. The windows of the warehouse exploded outward, glass raining down like deadly snow. Men poured out the doors, some dandies, some not, all firing. Stay in the car, Marco ordered, already moving. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone, but an explosion rocked the car. Not close, but close enough. The warehouse side door burst open, and more men spilled out. Then I saw him, Dante, blood streaming from a head wound, being pursued by 3 others. He went down. I stopped thinking, just moved, threw open the car door and ran. Julia, no. Marco's shout behind me, but I was already sprinting across the broken pavement. One of the men pursuing Dante raised his gun. I grabbed a piece of broken crate, swung it with everything I had, connected with his skull. He dropped. The other 2 turned on me. Oh God. Then Dante was there, moving like violence personified. He took down the first man with brutal efficiency, broke his arm, his knee, left him screaming on the ground. The second man he shot, center mass. No hesitation. He grabbed my arm. What the hell are you doing? Saving you. You were supposed to stay. A bullet whizzed past his head. He shoved me behind a shipping container. Down. More gunfire. Dante returned it, his movements controlled despite the blood on his face. Marco and the others had engaged the remaining men, turning the dockyards into a war zone. Leonardo? I gasped. Gone. Fury and pain mixed in Dandy's voice. Had an escape route. This was a trap. For you or for him? Both? He checked his gun, swore. He wanted me to come here, wanted me exposed. But he also wanted me to take out his competition. The families inside are all dead or dying. He sacrificed them? He's cleaning house. Dante grabbed my face, his bloody hands, leaving marks on my skin. You shouldn't be here. If something happened to you, it didn't. Julia, I kissed him. Hard and fast and desperate. Tasting gunpowder and fear and something that felt like living. When I pulled back, his eyes were wild. What was that for? In case we die. We're not dying. He looked past me, his expression hardening. Get behind me, now. I turned. Leonardo Vitali stood 20 feet away, gun raised. He was younger than I expected, mid-30s, handsome in a cold, perfect way. He looked like Dante might, if all the humanity was carved out. Cousin, Leonardo said pleasantly. And the little waitress who started this all. How poetic. Let her go, Dante said, his voice death. This is between us. But that's where you're wrong. Leonardo's smile was a blade. She's the whole point. Don't you see? I knew about her father from the beginning. Knew if I played it right, you'd do exactly what you did, protect her, obsess over her, let her become your weakness. I'll kill you for this. You'll try. Leonardo's gun shifted to me. But first, I want you to watch what happens when you care about something more than power. Everything slowed. I saw Leonardo's finger tighten on the trigger. Saw Dante move, too slow, too late. Saw my death written in Leonardo's eyes. Then Marco was there, stepping between us. The bullet meant for me took him in the chest. He fell like a puppet with cut strings. Papa. Dandy's scream was inhuman. He fired once, twice, 3 times. Leonardo dropped, blood blooming across his expensive suit. Then Dante was on his knees beside his father, hands pressed against the wound, blood everywhere. No, he was shaking. Papa. Stay with me. Stay with me. Marco's hand came up, touched Danny's face. Left blood. Protect her, he gasped. Like I should have. Protected your mother. Don't you dare. Tears streamed down Dandy's face. Don't you dare leave me. Love her, figlio mio. Marco's eyes found mine. The way I loved Anna. Then he was gone. Just gone. The light in his eyes, fading like a candle, snuffed out. Danny's howl of grief shattered the night, and I knelt beside him, wrapped my arms around him, and felt his world end in blood and salt air. Chapter 9. In the aftermath of Ashesthi buried Marco Vitali 3 days later. The funeral was enormous, a cathedral packed with men in expensive suits and women in black designer dresses. Everyone who was, anyone in the organization coming to pay respects to the man who'd built an empire and died protecting a waitress from nowhere. I stood beside Dante through all of it. He didn't speak, barely moved, just stood like marble, his hand gripping mine so hard I lost feeling in my fingers. But I didn't pull away, couldn't. He needed something to anchor him, and I was all he had left. After, at the estate, the house filled with people offering condolences. That meant nothing. Dante disappeared into his father's study and locked the door. I waited an hour before following. The lock was easy, just a simple key mechanism. Inside, I found Dante sitting on the floor, his back against the desk, Marco's reading glasses in his hands. He hated these, Dante said, without looking up. Said they made him look old, but he couldn't read without them. I sat beside him. Didn't speak, just sat. I should have seen it coming, he continued, his voice empty. Leonardo, the trap, all of it. Papa did. He knew. That's why he came with us. He chose to protect me. That's not your fault, isn't it? Now he looked at me, and his eyes were so dark, so hollow. You're right, Julia. Everything you said. I obsessed. I possessed. I made you a target by not letting you go when I should have. Don't. I touched his face. Don't do this. Don't blame us for what Leonardo did. He's dead because of us. He's dead because he was a good man who made a choice. Tears burned my eyes. The same choice you would have made. The same choice he made 30 years ago for my father. Danny's breath hitched. I don't know how to do this without him. You don't have to. I pulled him toward me, and he came. Rested his head against my shoulder like a child seeking comfort. You don't have to do anything right now except breathe. We sat there on his father's floor for hours. Him crying silent tears into my shoulder. Me holding him, while my own grief mixed with his. Two people broken by violence, trying to piece each other back together in the wreckage. Eventually he spoke. You should go. What? Leave. Tonight, I'll give you money. New identity. You can disappear. Live the life you should have had. Is that what you want? It's what you deserve. I pulled back, forced him to look at me. That's not what I asked. His jaw worked. No, I want you to stay. I want you here. I want, his voice broke. I want everything I have no right to want. Then ask me to stay. I can't. You've lost enough because of me, Dante. I took his face in both hands. I'm not losing anything. I'm choosing you, choosing this life, even with all its blood and violence and pain. I'm choosing it. You'll regret it, maybe. I kissed him softly, but it'll be my regret, my choice. You don't get to take that from me. He kissed me back, desperate, hungry, like I was air and he was drowning. His hands tangled in my hair, pulled me closer, and I went. Climbed into his lap, wrapped myself around him, gave him everything I had. Say it, he whispered against my mouth. Say you'll stay. I'll stay. Say you're mine. I'm yours, he groaned. Kiss me harder. Say you love me. Even if it's a lie, I love you. The words came easier than I expected. True as anything I'd ever said. God help me. I love you. He pulled back, searched my face. You mean it? Yes. Even knowing what I am. What this life will cost you. Especially knowing. I touched his chest, felt his heart racing. I love you because of what you are, not despite it. I love your violence and your gentleness. Your rage and your grief. All of it. Christo, Julia. He kissed me again, slower this time, savoring. You're going to destroy me. Good. I smiled against his mouth. You destroyed me first. We made love there on his father's floor, surrounded by books and memories and the ghost of the man who'd brought us together. It wasn't pretty, wasn't romantic, just desperate and real and exactly what we both needed. After, tangled together, he said, I'm taking over the family tomorrow. The men are waiting for my decision. Will they follow you? Some, others will need convincing. His hand traced patterns on my bare shoulder. It won't be easy. Leonardo had support, people who believed his way was better. Then we convinced them. I propped myself up, looked down at him. You said I was yours. That makes this mine too. Your fights, your family, your empire. You want to be a mafia wife? I want to be your partner. I kissed him. In everything. The beautiful and the ugly. He stared at me like I was a miracle he didn't deserve. You're insane, probably. I settled back against his chest. But you're insane. Yes. His arms tightened around me. You are. Outside, night fell over the estate, over the city, over the empire that was now ours to build or burn. Thank you, he whispered, for staying, for choosing this. Thank you for letting me choose. We fell asleep there, on the floor of a dead man's study, holding each other while the world we'd inherited waited for us to wake up and claim it. Tomorrow would come, with all its blood and politics and power struggles, but tonight, we just held each other and breathed. Chapter 10. Claiming the crown. Meeting happened at sunrise. Every captain in the organization gathered in the warehouse where Leonardo had tried to kill us. Poetic justice, Dante called it, a reminder of what happened to traitors. I stood beside him at the head of the table, dressed in black, Marco's ring on a chain around my neck, the ruby that had started everything. The men stared at me with varying degrees of confusion, hostility, respect. I stared back, didn't blink. My father is dead, Dante began, his voice carrying across the warehouse. Leonardo is dead. The families that sided with him are scattered or destroyed. What remains is this. Us. This organization. The legacy Marco Vitali built over 40 years. Silence. Heavy. Waiting. Some of you supported Leonardo, Dante continued. Believed his promises. I'm not here to punish that. I'm here to ask. Are you with me now? A man stood. Carmen, one of the older captains, with respect. Why should we follow you? You're young, reckless. You started a war over a woman. I ended a war over a woman, Dante corrected. Leonardo started it by trying to weaponize an innocent, by betraying everything this family stands for. And her? Carmen gestured at me. What is she? Your whore? Your weakness? Dante moved so fast I barely saw it. One moment he was beside me, the next he had Carmen pinned against the wall, forearm across his throat. Careful, Dante said softly, deadly. The next person who disrespects her dies. Not eventually, not as a warning, immediately. He released Carmen, who fell back gasping. The room was electric with tension. I stepped forward. My name is Giulia Moretti. My father is Antonio Moretti. He saved Marco Vitali's life 30 years ago. Leonardo used that history to frame me, to start a war, to destroy this family from within. I looked at each man in turn. Marco died protecting me. Not because I was Danny's weakness, but because he believed some things are worth dying for. Honor, loyalty, family. Pretty speech, another man said. But words don't run an empire. No, I smiled. Cold, sharp, blood does. Strategy does. Power does. And Dante has all three. Question is, do you have the sense to follow him? Or will you fracture this family into pieces Leonardo's allies can pick off one by one? Murmurs rippled through the room. I'd hit a nerve. Dante took my hand, raised it. This woman is my partner, my equal. She risked her life to save mine. Stood beside me when I buried my father. She's not my weakness, she's my strength. And if you can't see that, you don't belong in this family. The girl's right, an older voice said. Salvatore, Marco's oldest friend, stood from his seat. We split now, we die. Leonardo knew that, counted on it. The boy's offering unity. Anyone too proud to accept it can walk out that door and not come back. No one moved. Good. Danny's voice hardened. Then here's how this works. I'm in charge. Final say on all major decisions. But I'm not my father. I'm not Marco. I do things my way. Which means transparency. Which means no one goes behind my back. No secret alliances. No private wars. And if we disagree with your decisions? Carmen asked, rubbing his throat. You voice it, publicly, at the table. Like men. Dandy's eyes glinted. But once the decision's made, we move as one. Understand? Slowly, one by one, they nodded. There's one more thing. Dante pulled a small box from his jacket, opened it. Inside was a ring platinum band with a single diamond, simple and beautiful and nothing like the ostentatious jewelry I'd expected. He turned to me, dropped to one knee. My heart stopped. Giulia Moretti. His voice was steady despite the emotion in his eyes. You've seen the worst of me. The violence, The rage, the grief. You've stayed anyway. You've chosen this life, this world me. Will you choose it permanently? Dante, marry me. Not because it's strategic. Not because it protects you. But because I love you. Because you're the only good thing I've ever had. Because I want to spend whatever time I have left making sure you never regret choosing me. Tears blurred my vision. This is insane. Say yes anyway. I laughed, cried, nodded. Yes. God help me. Yes. He slid the ring onto my finger, stood. Kissed me in front of 40 mafia captains who'd just watched their new boss propose to a waitress. When he pulled back, he addressed the room. You have questions about her position? Her role? Here's your answer. She's my wife. She's family. And anyone who threatens her answers to me. The message was clear. Absolute. Salvatore started clapping. Slowly, the others joined in. Not all of them. Not enthusiastically. But enough. It would have to be enough. Epilogue Essex. Months later, I stood in the same cathedral where we'd buried Marco, wearing a white dress that cost more than my entire year's salary as a waitress. Dante waited at the altar, looking devastating in a black suit, his eyes never leaving mine as I walked down the aisle. Papa gave me away. Healthy for the first time in years, thanks to the best doctors Danny's money could buy. He whispered in my ear before releasing my hand. Your mother would be proud. And terrified. But mostly proud. Me too, Papa. The ceremony was beautiful. The reception was decadent. But the best moment came late, when Dante and I escaped to the chapel in the garden, the one dedicated to his mother. You think she'd approve? I asked, resting my head on his shoulder. She'd say I didn't deserve you. He kissed my hair. She'd be right. Good thing I don't care what you deserve. I looked up at him. Only what I want. And what do you want, Mrs. Vitale? I smiled. Everything. The empire. The violence. The love. The life. I touched his face. All of it. With you. He kissed me as the sun set over the roses. Thorns and beauty tangled together, and I knew we'd made the right choice. The dangerous one. The impossible one. The only one that mattered.